Hi guys, and welcome to the Lifestyle Design Secrets podcast, where we talk about fitness, nutrition, mindset, and a whole lot more. Thank you for everyone who's listened to all our episodes so far and taken the time to leave a review. If you do enjoy this episode and want the free content to keep on coming, please do take 2 seconds to leave us a 5-star review. Thanks again. Now let's dive in. Hi everyone, welcome back to the podcast and thank you for being here. Today I'm here with Harriet from Queenstown, who runs Harriet Well Nutrition. And I've been following Harriet for a little while now on Instagram, not in a creepy way, but she has some amazing travels around Europe, which is obviously very close to my heart, and that was really fun to see someone else in nutrition who eats pizza and ice cream. So that was really cool. Today I've got Harriet on because she's started sending some email newsletters similar to mine. So at the end I'll leave Harriet's contact details, and well worth signing up for if you enjoy this sort of thing and enjoy our chat today. And then there have been a few recently that I thought were really interesting. I think Harriet and I share quite a few philosophies on eating well and mindset and not beating yourself up too much. So I'm quite intrigued to get into some of this. And what we're going to be focusing on today is this time of year, which is such a fun time for everyone, trying to stay healthy and happy and sane. But I'm going to stop rambling on now and get Harriet to introduce herself as a little starter.
Yeah,
Harriet,
fantastic. Go. Thanks so much. Lovely to connect and just have a bit of a chat today. It is such a funny time of year, which is meant to be so fun and things, but often comes with it a lot of overwhelm, anxious around food and things like that. And so it's just great to, have some tips, and awesome that we kind of align on some of those. It'd be nice to chat through them. But I am Harriet. I am a nutritionist, and I work with clients mostly to do with things like this around their relationship with food and finding a healthy balance. So people that have a bit of a background in disordered eating and just overall bring it back to the basics and finding a way of eating that actually works for them, that doesn't involve a whole lot of anxiety around food and takes some of the overwhelm away from it as well. So that, you can really live a full life and not be worried about the food that you're eating as much, because it is so much more to do with how you approach it and things like that. You can definitely still include some of your favorite foods in there as well.
Yeah, I love that. And I think I've worked with a couple of clients that have had slightly disordered eating in the past. And I think one of them wrote, after we worked together, she was like, it's about nourishment, not restriction. And I was like, yes, that is the key. I think so many people, especially rather than if you're choosing an approach of wellness and focusing on yourself and putting good food in, it's quite different if you're like, how do I lose weight right now? Yeah. Like the kind of fad diet mentality.
Yeah, definitely. And I guess I've always been drawn to this, recently been more drawn to this kind of work just from own struggles and things. So definitely I understand how tricky this time of the year can be if you're in that kind of space. And definitely around how can we focus on what we can be doing more of rather than what we want to be cutting out and things like that, because I feel like that's such an important thing. You naturally will start to think more around what you want to add in, and it will naturally crowd out maybe some of the other habits that you're not so keen on keeping up. So I think that's a really important part to bring into this whole thing around this time of year as well. Don't focus all on what you don't want to be doing.
Yeah, focus on the bits that you love. Yeah, and I love the term crowding out. Did you study with the Institute of Integrative Nutrition?
No, I did a Bachelor of Science at Otago in Human Nutrition, and then did a bit of kind of health coaching kind of course and things just to help my kind of, confidence and things around coaching people through kind of nutrition and mindset is very different from the
technical side of things, isn't it?
Very, yeah. So that was great, and I feel like there's always so much to learn. So continually still learning from that, but yeah.
Yeah. Oh no, that's really interesting because there's yeah, I studied with the Institute of Integrative Nutrition after studying human geography. So all about people's like environments and how people interact with consumption spaces, fast food outlets, how your proximity to fast food outlets affects your likelihood of being obese. It's very interesting.
Yeah, wow,
But
that would have
yeah,
been, yeah, very interesting.
the biggest thing I keep hearing people talk about is the fact that Monica's getting a McDonald's and everyone is up in arms. Have you heard about that?
I haven't heard about that, but I remember when I'm originally from Kaikoura, so
Oh god.
when we were growing up, actually, I remember there being talk of one going in there, and there was like massive like backlash, like no, like a small town like this does not need something like that. So yeah,
Yeah.
interesting that it's happening there as well.
It's so funny. There's my friend, I can say this now because everyone knows she does marketing for McDonald's up in Auckland, and she told me about 2 years ago, maybe a year and a half ago,
Yeah.
and now it's all come out. Apparently, there's a campaign, a backlash campaign saying we're not loving it because it's going right at like the entrance to Wanaka on the new
Yeah.
roundabout. So quite funny. But anyway, yeah, so that's my background. But Institute of Integrative Nutrition, one of their key focuses is crowding out
Mm.
sort of food that might be less healthy with the good stuff. That's
Yeah.
like a really key component. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's kind of like a natural way to do it because, well, I guess you put less time into the stuff that you don't want to be doing and less thoughts and things. You're going to naturally not think about them as much. They're not going to be forefront and trying to, yeah, think about what you want to be doing rather than what you don't. It's a massive kind of positive mindset shift as well.
Definitely. It's also really, really, really hard to overeat junk if you're full of really good food. Like it's physically difficult, generally.
Yeah, like if you're eating great balanced meals and things like that, like having your little piece of chocolate or something you really enjoy that is almost more enjoyable because you're not eating it out of a place that you're really hungry and you're trying to fill yourself up on that kind of food. You can eat it for that enjoyment, which is what it's there for.
Rather than restricting yourself, eating only leaves and then
Mm,
demolishing the whole bar.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Which is what I see a lot of people doing. So often the issue is underfueling, I reckon.
Yeah, fully. And
Yeah.
I think that's like a thing that happens around this time of year as well with like all the events and everything going on. People will try and, I guess, either eat, like really undereat or skip meals and like save up, say, their calories for what's going on in the evening or the event they've got coming up. And all they're doing is really setting themselves up to then overeat and be so ravenous by the time it gets there that they do feel out of control around food because who isn't out of control around food when they're absolutely starving? Like
When you're absolutely
you just
starving.
need
Yeah.
to get kind of food in at that point.
Yeah.
So yeah, kind of that's a mindset that pops up quite a lot. I see with clients and stuff at this time of year that really trying to save up for it. Um, and if you can try and still eat as you normally would, regularly, good breakfasts, lunches, and everything like that, then you'll get to that time and you can actually choose what you feel like. And it's okay to be hungry when you do turn up as well, I think. Because
Yeah.
I also
Yeah.
see that,
Being
like,
okay with the feeling of being hungry
yeah,
almost.
yeah, definitely. And then being able
Yeah.
to choose what you want when you're there from a place of, oh, this is like nice. I get to eat this really fun, festive food and things because I am hungry. And yeah, and even if you're
And
not,
this is
then
exciting.
yeah, it's one
Rather than
time of
going, I
year.
shouldn't
So,
be doing this. I used to explain it as it's like a little bit of a hippie part of my program, but explaining that actually when you eat food with feelings of enjoyment, like it's like the French
mm,
paradox almost. Like
yeah,
they eat like loads of bread, cheese, wine, but spend 3 hours eating lunch with their friends and family and have a huge break in the middle of the day.
yeah,
We eat a cheese baguette or have a
mm,
glass of wine at lunchtime. Ugh, very rare. That would be nice.
yeah,
But like, yeah, we shove down a cheese baguette like in between meetings in our car, and are
mm,
like, why are we getting fat? And it's like, well, the stress response that you're probably eating with in that minute of anxiety, going, I shouldn't be doing this, but it's quick.
yeah.
It's probably completely different if you sat down and enjoyed it over 3 hours.
Yeah, and like a nice thing I think I remind people of quite a lot is like there's no single food that's going to be terrible of like for you in
Yeah.
terms of how bad your stress and anxiety around not having that food is. So that's
Yeah.
actually going to be worse for you than eating that food.
Yeah.
And
Definitely.
coming from, yeah, a place of like, oh, like I can eat this, I'll enjoy it, and then just move on. It doesn't have to be a big deal or then impact the rest of your day.
It's I feel like we're already going off on a tangent before we
Yeah.
even start the points, but it's so interesting because I talk to a lot of people about their language and their nutrition and the
Mm,
amount of women who go, I've fallen off the wagon. And I'm
yeah.
like, no, you haven't. Like, you ate some lollies. And,
Mm,
you've lost 5 kilos, you're incredibly fit and you ate some lollies. Like, that's the, if you look at the broader spectrum of everything, it's quite interesting how with that all or nothing approach, people can beat themselves up so much, and also restrictions. So if people go into a social situation and are going, "Oh, I can't eat that. I can't eat that. I'm on a diet,"
mm,
it makes them feel uncomfortable, makes everyone around them feel uncomfortable, and it actually makes everyone around them go, "No, it's okay. You can eat it.
mm.
Go on, have some more," and then there's a whole social anxiety situation around it. Whereas if you just said nothing and avoided it or ate a little bit of what you fancied. It's very interesting.
Yeah, it's very interesting. It's interesting that social aspect as well, in terms of wanting to upkeep this image of being this certain person or something. And then what's really happening is they're restricting themselves in a social setting where it should be a place to enjoy it and things like that. And instead, they're restricting themselves so much that then when they go home, they kind of eat in secret and things like that because they feel ashamed about it and they can't be seen to be doing these things.
Yeah.
Um, and so, yeah, flipping that instead, like use that time with people and things to enjoy those foods. And when you're at home, look to cook nourishing meals that are actually going to fill you up and satisfy you, so that you can go out and enjoy those times as well. So yeah, finding that balance can be very tricky, but it's definitely a spot that you can get to. So it's the nicest thing, I
Yeah,
think.
absolutely. Especially at this time of year. Like I'm doing 12 days of Christmas health hacks.
Mm-hmm.
And today was a a client a while ago just texted me and was like, I've had 4 morning tea chats this week. 4. She was like, it's just ridiculous. And she was like, and people turning around to me and being like, why aren't you having anything? Like, so it's so much environmental pressure as well at this time of year. And she's like, I
Yeah.
actually feel better when I don't. And I actually turned around and said, no, I don't need it, and I'm not going to eat it just because it looks good.
Yeah.
Kind of attitude, knowing that she would feel better about it later. And she loves an indulgence, this gal. It's not like she'll
Mm.
be restricting herself, but
Yeah.
it's just picking what you do want and what you don't.
Yeah, I think that like when you get to that place you can really pick your like worth it moments. Like when something doesn't
Yes.
actually appeal to you, when you're not eating out of that place of, I guess, like desperation, or like this is my only chance to eat something like this, then you can become a lot more kind of like discernitive of what you actually personally like and things like that as well. It's not just like, oh, it's there, I better eat it because I know I shouldn't be.
Yeah. Yeah, when you come from a place of scarcity and you're like, well, I never have cake at home and now there's cake in front of
Mm,
me, sign me up.
yeah,
I reckon, I'm not a sweet snob, but like if someone's baked a cake with love, I'm all about it.
yeah,
Like, we had a delicious trifle at my friend Haley, who I hope might be listening to this. She had a pav, sorry, the other day at the Christmas thing. But if someone's just, you know, bought some baking from New World to a morning tea shout, I'm like, yeah, take it or leave it. Because
yeah,
like you say, picking what really matters or things that are made with love
yeah.
when you
Yeah,
really
and
feel
what
that.
you truly enjoy, like if you know that it's not really going to satisfy you, then is it worth it kind of thing? But as well, like if
Yeah,
you feel like it on the day, that's so fine as well.
go for gold. Right, Harriet, we're going to dive into the meaty main course and I'm going to
Cool,
run through your tips.
cool,
So
sounds
I'm going
good.
to read one out and then let you talk about it.
Cool.
Ready?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Make yourself a priority. It's so easy to get caught up in the busy, fun time and neglect the simple little things that we can do to feel good and that give us energy. So true.
Yeah. So it's an incredibly busy time of year. I think everyone gets to this time of year and feels a little bit burnt out. just purely from the year, and then extra social occasions, work's often busy and things like that. So it's very easy to stop doing those little things that you would normally do each day, and
Yeah.
stop kind of making yourself a priority, because there's so much else going on. Those are the easy things, I guess, to give up, rather than saying no to something because you might need to give yourself a bit more time that day.
It's a lot
So
socially harder to say no to someone else than it is to say no to
yeah,
yourself, isn't it?
definitely. So I just say, in terms of that, trying to just do something. If it can be super small for yourself each day, just to like even subconsciously remind yourself that like you're a priority, like, and that you can make time for yourself, to do what you need to feel good. I think super important. Just, yeah, it's the first thing to slip, really. I think we're
Yeah.
all guilty of it when we get busy, to forget about ourselves. So just a little bit of a reminder in there, really.
We absolutely are. I'm sat here doing the second podcast of the day instead of going out for a lunchtime walk. But I will totally after this.
Yes.
And
Well, this is my
Harriet's very kindly giving up her lunch hour to be here as well. So I hope you guys are appreciating our chat. It's really interesting, isn't it? And a lot of people probably look at us and be like, well, it's easy for you guys. You don't have kids yet. But, I juggle two businesses. You have a full-time job plus your nutrition work as well. I have a client who's gorgeous business owner and a grandma. And she's like, I've only managed 2 walks this week between the grandkids and work being so busy. And then she replied to one of my Instagram stories. It says something about 30-minute walk, don't have time. 30 minutes scrolling Instagram, whoops, where did that go? And so it's trying to be cognizant of like, your time is incredibly valuable at this time of year, isn't it?
yeah.
And like, just, it's almost like it's like planning ahead, whether it's getting up half an hour earlier, which might not sound appealing at all.
Yeah.
But that half an hour of like golden time before you have to give yourself to anyone else.
And I think
Yeah.
I think too that it doesn't need to be like a full half hour or anything like that. Like realizing
No.
it can be 5-10 minutes, and like where can I
Yeah.
just fit that into my day? Like, is it just, like not scrolling, like reading my book or something for 10 minutes, or yeah, getting up 10 minutes
Yeah.
early so I can sit down and have a cup of tea or something like that. So yeah, not feeling like it needs to be what you would normally do either, or as much as you would normally do, and being okay with that.
So my key hacks for people, because Harriet's just hit the nail on the head. I go for a 15-minute walk around the block. I know it takes 15 minutes from start to finish. I have no excuses. I leave my phone on my desk and I go. 15
Yeah.
minutes in the sunshine gets my blood flowing. My other one is driving down to the lake and going for a swim. So just getting in and out of the lake, probably about 3 minutes in the lake in total. But it's so invigorating. And it's just a moment of quiet. And it's really interesting what you said, Harriet, about the tea. I have a beautiful client I worked with last year who also listens to the podcast, who told me yesterday, we did a photo shoot and had a few ladies out for lunch. She was like, it's better than it was last year, but I realised my challenge at the moment is to sit down and finish a cup of tea. She hasn't yet managed to finish a cup of tea.
Yeah.
It's crazy, isn't it? How much we struggle to switch off the outside world for that little moment of calm.
Yeah. And yeah, it's kind of even more important than normal at this time of year, I think. And a lot stems from it if we're not doing those little things.
Definitely. And I think you cover this little managing stress without food and feeling good daily habits and things. But before we move on from making yourself priority, I think the other important thing to state is that a lot of women, rushing women syndrome, right, feel like it's selfish to take time out for themselves. Absolutely not. Because if you take that time out for yourself and you feel mentally calmer and more together, you will turn up as a better partner, better mother. Like, you will be so much of a nicer person to be around if you've looked after yourself first.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, like, you were just kind of skipping forward, but that with food and things as well, that's where you'll find you emotionally eat a lot more if you aren't able to prioritize that and prioritize a bit of that self-care. Because turning to food is quite easy. We can grab and go and things like that, rather than consciously putting in that time to just check in with ourselves or sit down and have a cup of tea and things like that, we'll find comfort in grabbing something to eat instead.
Yeah, definitely. So we're looking for kind of emotional solace in what we're putting in our mouths rather than the moment of quiet that we really need.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what my newsletter was hopefully funny, but it was like, you've just got through your fourth morning tea shout at work this week. Karen's asked you whether you're on a diet because you're not eating the cake. You've just about powered through not eating any of the treats in the smoko room that day. You get home, the children are screaming, your partner's come home with a box of roses and a bottle of red that he's been given at work that day, and you go, fuck it.
Yeah.
Like, it's the chaos that just causes you to be like, sometimes.
Yeah.
And make choices that aren't always what you might choose in a calmer moment, I suppose.
And I guess we can't always prevent those. Like sometimes you just have those days and that's going to happen. Then I guess, how do you then go forward? Like not then falling into that, oh, well, I've got to make up for it and try not to eat as much tomorrow, or like I'll skip breakfast because, like I went kind of overboard last night with wine and chocolate and things like that. And that's when you can really get yourself, I guess, into that cycle of overeating, undereating, and it can really go on and on.
It's a disaster. I mean, we're already 20 minutes in, but I'm just going to share a personal story because that's 100% what I did at school. So I would try to not eat breakfast. And I go, I'm just not going to eat all day and just eat dinner because that will make me thinner. I was at school in London at performing arts school during the Kate Moss Nothing Tastes as Good as Skinny Feels era. It was a good time. So I would try and not eat all day, then get really hungry, buy chocolate from the vending machine at lunch, and then a giant croissant on the way home from school because this is like all the food I could access, like nothing good or nutritious. And then say by the end of the day, I'd eaten a chocolate bar, a croissant, like 4 slices of toast and Nutella when I got home because I was so ravenous, and then a giant bowl of pasta for dinner. And I was a teenager, like I knew no different. Whole grains are meant to be super healthy for you, so I thought if I just ate those, and chocolate wasn't that bad. If I hadn't eaten breakfast, it would be fine.
Yeah.
Real restriction and lack of knowledge completely backfiring.
Yeah. And I guess that's a similar thing that can happen if you're doing that kind of eating and trying to save calories and stuff with social events and things at this time of year. Like, yeah, you really get there and just have to get food in, so eat it all.
Yeah, exactly. Right, I'm going to move us on because the next one's good. Hydrate, hydrate, hydrate. It sounds so simple, and it is, but remember to stay hydrated. Start each day with a big glass of water and aim to keep up hydration throughout the day.
Yeah, I think it is a simple thing, but we all forget. And if you're busy in things, then you're more likely to forget. So, yeah, hydration's massively important. And I guess we all do know that. We've been told hundreds of times, but remembering to do it is another story. So simple things like having a drink bottle with you, taking it places, remembering to take it places. Or if you really struggle and you're trying to kind of build that habit a bit more, something like setting some alarms throughout the day just to remind yourself to have a glass of water or have a drink can be really effective. And then particularly if you're at social gatherings and things and having like alcoholic beverages and things like that, it really makes the world a difference if you're having a few waters in between.
Which I read that was that your newsletter yesterday? I read that one. And I was like, it's so simple, but it's so true. And especially so at the moment, what's the temperature like in Queenstown at the moment? I reckon it's like meant to hit 28 here today.
Yeah, it's lovely.
Yeah, so it's really hot. So yesterday was so baking, and I think often when you're out at a work function and you've got that anxious excitement, so you're drinking alcohol.
Yeah.
Often you're genuinely thirsty, so your body's dehydrating, so you want to drink more, and it just makes you drink faster. So actually having some form of non-alcoholic drink is really smart, and also just hydrating at the start of the day, like you said. So a lot of the work I do with clients, rather than once people have probably been on a little bit of a health journey or had some disordered eating, you help them come back from that a little bit more. A lot of my clients are just in the where on earth do I start to start the fat loss journey and where have I been
Yeah.
going wrong. So, and being hydrated is one of the key things that your body needs to be able to burn body fat,
Yeah.
which is not just about burning body fat to get rid of it. Being in a state of body fat burning is it's good for our metabolic function throughout the body, right? So it's not just about body fat burning, it's about our cells kind of working properly, I suppose. Could you say?
Yeah, I would just
Yeah.
say overall, like you all down to your digestion, how you're feeling, your
Yeah.
skin, everything. So it's like an overall feeling. And then I think that plays into everything like your body image and everything like that. So a simple thing, if it's not really done, can have quite a big effect. And will often you can mistake thirst for hunger and things as well, like that. So
Yeah.
finding those kind of times to get an extra water. And I think first thing in the morning is just kind of quite an easy one that you can start to really create a habit out of, and sets you
Yeah.
on kind of like the right path to trying to remember throughout the day, to keep on
Definitely.
doing it as well. Yeah.
Yeah. I like that one. Mindfully eating and plate your food. Allow yourself to enjoy and celebrate with good food and all the tasty treats this time of year brings. But also remember to eat those mindfully and let yourself tune into hunger and fullness cues. It's a really interesting one.
Yeah. So I think mindful eating goes a long way in terms of all sorts of things. And it is just that taking that little bit extra time to like pause and first of all ask yourself kind of what you're actually feeling like, but also how's that going to end up making you feel, how kind of hungry you are, and things like that. And then once you're eating, trying to check in with yourself, like taking a bit of a break. Like I think if you're at a social occasion, things very easy to get distracted talking to people and things and be a bit more mindless with what you're eating, or sitting at desks and things like that.
Yeah,
But being able to kind of like take 2 seconds, check in with yourself, definitely easier said than done, and it takes a bit of practice. But it is a really great thing to push yourself to practice more and more and sit down, eat, or even in this sense, like plating your food. So if you're at a
yeah,
barbecue or like a help yourself spread or something, actually taking the time to plate up your food and thinking about what's on it. Like, is that actually going to be, like, is this a main meal for you? Or is it a
yeah,
snack? If it's a main meal, then is it actually going to fill you up, make you like satisfied and fuel you for like the rest of your day? So does it have a source of carbohydrates, some protein, some fat, some kind of like an easy way to, I guess, pull in, you would have had experience with it, the plating model, like nutrition plating model kind of thing, filling
yeah,
your plate half with like non-starchy leafy greens and vegetables, so like all the beautiful
yeah,
salads that this time of year brings, having some protein on there, and then ideally some complex carbohydrates, that are going to sustain you and give that long-lasting energy. With barbecued spreads and things, you don't really need to look for your healthy fats. It's often in your olive oil dressings and things like that. But
yeah.
yeah, kind of mentally ticking a few boxes if you know that it's going to be like a main meal and you want to feel good afterwards.
Yeah, I love that because I think it's so easy. Like, oh my gosh, kiwi. I thought I loved a platter. Kiwis love a
Yeah,
platter. So, but I love making them. So I'm a
yeah,
shocker. I'm the one who turn up with this thing that looks like, I don't know, could probably feed 20 people, but absolute joy for the eyes. But the way you can just pick away at a platter
yeah,
is really quite dangerous. You have your brain doesn't take in what you're eating
yeah,
because, like you say, as soon as you put it on a plate, so like your model that you were just talking about, I think that's so powerful because it does make you visually look at things
mm,
and yeah, you know what you've eaten, but it's also your brain is a huge part of your digestion process, right?
yeah,
So when you look at this enormous plate of food and you go, oh my gosh, I'm eating that, will it fit in? I've
mm,
eaten it, I'm so full. Versus you could probably eat the same amount, if not twice as much, picking at a platter
yeah,
and just not even, your brain hasn't even registered that you've eaten it. You haven't sat down to kind of rest and digest. You've just been eating on the go. Yeah, so I really like the plating idea, especially at a barbecue where it's like you can just go back for more and
Yeah.
more and more. If you actually put the three plates that you've just eaten all next to each other, you probably feel quite ill. And I do this, especially at a barbecue. So yeah, you'd probably be quite shocked, I imagine.
Yeah, it's definitely as much that kind of like satiating stomach fullness as it is kind of like mindfulness and things like that. So, yeah, actually plating something will give you a chance to register, yeah, what you're eating and like that you are actually eating.
Yeah.
Otherwise, we'll often like, I don't know, go for somewhere for it's like drinks and nibbles or something like that. And because you're just kind of like nibbling at things and that you then get home and you're like, well, I haven't actually had dinner. But you kind of you probably have had like some dinner, you might just need
The
like a lighter
equivalent
dinner
of dinner.
to actually feel like satiated and full. So yeah, it's
Yeah.
finding that balance, and it's definitely, like I said, it's something that comes with practice. But hopefully there's some little kind of tips to get people started and thinking about eating a little bit more mindfully.
Yeah, I love that. And the have you seen the glucose goddess?
Yes.
Online, yeah. So your plating model, very similar to what Jessie suggests. So Jessie is a French, I'm pretty sure she's a biochemist. She
Mm.
talks about the order in which you eat your food and how that works within your body. And I think she's really smart. So this is what I advocate as well. And how I kind of hack my platters. So um, a lot of my clients are really, really, really severely overeating carbohydrates, just in terms of, just to give you some background. So I'm certainly not anti-carbs, but I definitely suggest, as Jessie does, that they're a smaller portion at the end of your meal, like you say, so you feel satisfied, rather than them
Mm.
being the thing that you grab on the go and eat on repeat. And like your plating model, so starting with some veggies or some crudités. On my platters, there's always like cucumber, courgette, peppers, things like
Mm.
that. Some protein. So at a barbecue, get into the meat, guys, or fish, or whatever that may be. Um, yeah, some healthy carbohydrates. Because if you're really, really, really trying to restrict carbohydrates this time of year and you don't want to,
Mm.
I think that's what's going to, potentially not help you later and feel more restricted. Yeah, and healthy fats. So cheese is always quite good. Cheese is
Yes.
quite filling.
Cheese
That's
is
a good
filling,
thing
and
about it.
that's what kind of your healthy fats give you, is that kind of feeling of fullness and things like that. So it's not something you want to restrict. Or same with carbohydrates, I guess. If you are trying to completely remove them, you may find that you aren't getting that sustained energy and you are feeling quite hungry. Um, but yeah, it is all comes down to kind of the person and things like that. Some people totally thrive on less than others, and I guess
Yeah.
that's the thing of working in with what you're feeling like. And it depends what else you've eaten during the day as well.
Yeah, absolutely. But I love that. So eat mindfully, guys. Plate
Yeah.
your food. Okay, we're on to number 4, just over half an hour. Keep up your feel good daily habits and routines. You don't suddenly stop doing something like brushing your teeth. So why stop any of the positive things you usually include in your days? This is such a good point, right? So people go to the gym every day, or like eat a delicious breakfast, or make a really good effort to look after themselves.
Mm.
Christmas holidays hit and they go, fuck it. They go full cowboy and then wonder why they feel rubbish.
Yeah, and I do think like if that's kind of what you need and stuff to go completely like switch off and do something, yeah, that's great. But you
Yeah.
probably will feel different. You're bound to.
That's
And
such a politically good, like, well said
yeah.
way of putting it. Yeah.
Yeah, and so yeah, there's so many small things that we do every day that we probably do forget when we're out of our routines and things like that. And it can be those simple things like starting your morning with a glass of water, or starting by getting outside and going for a little bit of a walk, or
Yeah.
making an actual breakfast and sitting down and having it because, oh no, I'm waiting for brunch and then I'm doing, like there's those small things that we kind of do in the mornings, particularly I think to set ourselves up for our days, that we then end up not doing on holiday just because we're out of a bit of routine. And yeah, you're bound to feel different if you're doing different things.
Yeah. So just, yeah, I guess being mindful of that. And especially if you're away,
Yeah.
with different people, we go away and go camping.
Yeah.
So, it's very different routine. I'm the weirdo who gets up and takes myself for a walk or a run and after a coffee, and everyone else is like, ugh,
Yeah.
like rolls out of bed.
But that's,
Yeah.
I think, the small things that that's what makes you feel good. So they're still
Oh,
going to be
yeah.
something that you want to do. So yeah, I think
And
that's
it's hard.
fantastic.
People are like, I don't understand how you want to go for a run. You're
Yeah.
such a weirdo. A couple of years ago, have you been to Glendy Bay?
Yes. Yeah.
Yes, I love it. And like I definitely go and I have friends love a few drinks and really good food. And there's quite a group of us. So I definitely have lazy mornings there, beautiful mornings, go for a swim, a little stroll around camp or like a paddleboard and have a coffee and lots of breakfast. But went through it one year, went through a real running phase and I loved it. And I was running 10K every morning. And my friends were like, "You're mental. What are you doing?" And I'm like, you don't have to enjoy it. Like, you
Yeah.
don't have to be okay with it. It just makes me feel so good. Like, yeah, it's really interesting
And that's the
when
thing
you're,
is like those times we actually have more time as well. So like if there is something you're
yeah,
keen to get into, or like holidays are such a good chance to actually do that.
yeah, exactly. And it's like I have nothing to do all day, but like sit in camp, go to the lake, and paddleboard. Like, may as well take myself for a run
Mm,
before I eat and drink my afternoon away. Um,
exactly. And I think it's that coming from that place of I am doing it because like I want to, and this is fun and enjoyable for me.
it's
It's
so
not,
much fun when you have the time.
yeah, it's not going out
Yeah,
because you are trying to work off
trying to
what
burn
you,
off the calories.
yeah. And I think
Yeah,
that's kind of like the difference and the different mindset which comes from there. If you're trying to take yourself out to work off what you've been doing, then yeah, that's kind of not a good place to be approaching that kind of thing from. But doing it
yeah.
for
And
enjoyment
Harriet,
and to feel good's amazing.
definitely. You've hit on such a good point because I used to run. I was like queen of cardio to try and burn off the calories I just eaten. That's how I
Same.
thought it worked. Yeah, so bad. Like so cringe looking back. I can tell from your face.
Yeah.
Like, oh God. And yeah, so now getting to a place where it's like, I actually do it because I enjoy it. It makes me feel good. Oh my God, mental health. Like, get
Yeah.
me those endorphins. They're like
Mm,
free and legal drugs.
yeah.
So yeah, so good. But I think, but you do want to be mindful, I suppose, of the way, the way
Just
in
the
which you're
reason,
approaching it.
yeah, just the reasons we're doing it, really. Um,
Yeah,
if you're forcing yourself out for the wrong reasons, then that's not actually an overly healthy thing to be doing. And
yeah,
it's probably better to challenge yourself to relax a bit more. But if you're in that kind of positive space and you're doing it for pure enjoyment and stuff, then why not if it's making you feel good?
yeah. Completely agree. I'm like an energizer bunny. I get to what's the word? Like I'm like a puppy. I have to go out
Yeah.
for some more exercise in the morning before I can sit still.
Yeah.
Oh dear. Not sure if that's a good or a bad thing. This flows nicely on to the next one. Any movement is good. Focus on an active lifestyle. You don't have to try and fit in a workout every day in order to be healthy this silly season or burn off the extra celebrations. So I feel like we just kind of covered that.
Yeah, we kind of did.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think prioritizing, I think you get so used to, I guess, if you're kind of a gym person or something like that, like it's very structured and things like that. So you often don't necessarily have those facilities or maybe the time when it is that, I guess, real crunch like Christmas time
Yeah.
or lead up. And so, yeah, focusing on what you can do. Just, is it going for a walk? Is it, going off and playing some backyard cricket or tennis, or those swimming and
Yeah.
things like that are just as good as, I guess, going and having a structured workout. So not
Yeah.
feeling bad about not being able to fit that in because you're naturally doing other things at this time of year.
You're completely right. And I think my tips, yeah, like we kind of briefly touched on, but if you can, doing something in the morning, if that's your usual routine, will
Mm,
make you feel really good. But also not beating yourself up. Like when I'm not sitting at a desk every day, like if you are camping or you're out
yeah,
exploring or you're at the beach, you are going to be doing like twice as many thousand steps.
yeah,
Like I have some clients who, when they start with me, are doing 1,500 to 2,000 steps a day.
mm,
Like it's crazy, and that's because they're chained to a desk. So
Mm,
if you are moving around, you're preparing food for the family, you're likely to be doing more than that anyway. So
yeah.
you might be moving more naturally. Um, yeah, so I think just being mindful of that, and actually like walking like just for 5 or even 10 minutes, like before or after a meal,
Yeah.
is a really nice way to toggle in some movement, and it also lowers your blood glucose response to the meal and
Mm,
helps your digestion. So sometimes when you are sitting, maybe when you're sitting and eating and sitting and eating and sitting and eating, you can actually get a bit like, like you just
yeah.
feel a bit down and a bit stodged. So I think actually moving because you know it's going to make you feel good rather than your normal routine and whatever that might look like.
Yeah, and like you say, like it helps with, yeah, that blood glucose regulation. It helps with just your digestion. It's just kind of like an overall bit of movement. But yeah, you're probably naturally going to be doing a bit more because we do actually,
Yeah,
it's not winter here. So our Christmas and
so
things
good.
comes with it, more outside time, more activities and things like that. So you will
Yeah,
probably naturally do a bit more than our everyday sitting at our desks and things like that, which is so nice.
so good. And we are so lucky. I do remember a couple of my friends though being like, dear God, how do you do that? It's like Christmas in the summer. That's like completely backward. Like Christmas is for eating lots of cheese and drinking red wine and not caring what you look like.
Yeah, well, I was in the UK last year for Christmas,
Oh yeah.
and
It's
like
quite different, isn't it?
it's so different. Like they do festive so well, but for me, I was just like, it's the most like un-Christmassy kind of Christmas feeling Christmas I've ever had because for me, it's barbecues and it's being outside, it's going camping, it's everything like that. So although it was lovely, I was like, it is so different.
Whereas I'm the opposite. So
Yeah,
when I first moved here, I had a girl from the UK who also moved over with her Kiwi husband and kids, and she was like, "Amy, I'm just going to let you know now, it's a very lovely day, but it's just not
yeah,
Christmas." And so that's how I feel, like completely opposite to you. And I'm like, where is the cheese? The red wine, the pub with a roaring fire. I'm
mm,
like, I'm hot. Like, we need to go get on the lake again. Like, this feels like summer. I've got a Christmas tree in my house. This is so
yeah.
confusing.
So funny
Oh
depending on
dear.
what you've grown up with.
Yeah, it's completely weird. So, anyway, number 6, don't forget to listen to your body. Take the time to check in with yourself and how you are feeling both mentally and physically. I
So
like that
yeah,
one.
I guess listening when your body does need that rest. I guess the lead up to Christmas and everything is like we've talked about, incredibly busy and things like that, and then you kind of get into that holiday period. So allowing yourself that time to just rest, and if you feel like moving, but like if you don't as well, that's so fine. It is one time of the year I think is important to remember as well. So that bit of like perspective on this isn't normally what I do and not my everyday. So it's
And
actually
that's
fine if it
okay.
looks a little bit different. Yeah. Because
Yeah,
yeah, in no time you'll be back at work and back into a routine and everything. So just taking that time to allow yourself to have that space, listen to your body. What are you actually feeling like eating? How do you feel like moving? And things like that. It's kind of nice to have that time as well. So remembering that, although it's busy and fun, that it's a good chance that you've got a bit more time and things like that to check in with yourself.
yeah, I completely agree. I mean, I don't know how it happens. I've got a few friends who also own their own businesses, and every single year, this time of the year, it's crazy. Well, even if you
Mm,
don't own your own business, it just, what happens to everyone?
I don't
Like, and
know.
I think you're completely right. I think so. Yeah, don't forget to listen to your body and mentally and physically. So if you find, what I want to add to your point, Harriet, is like if you are starting to find that you're like mentally snappy at people,
Mm,
you're really tired, you're really angry, you're feeling out of sorts. I think, yeah, Harriet's advice is amazing. So to really, really just stop for a minute, just pause and yeah.
yeah. Yeah, I felt like honestly so exhausted this week. And yeah, just being
Yeah.
able to, I guess, recognize that. And like some simple things I've done is watch how much coffee I'm drinking, because that just very quickly creeps up when I'm feeling like this.
Rather than powering through, yeah.
Yeah. So like, yeah, just really making sure it's like one cup and maybe like a matcha or something like that. And then also changing out some of the higher intensity running and stuff like that I love doing, but honestly, it's felt like too much this week. So changing them out for walks and things like that. So yeah, recognizing that as well, and kind of being able to adjust so that you don't end up completely burnt out, I think is super important.
Yeah, and I think, yeah, like Harriet said, you can kind of sometimes feel your adrenal system like
Mm,
being like, just don't,
yeah.
please. Like this morning, I often go for a walk up a hill nearby with a weight vest, like a 20-kilo weight vest. This
Hmm.
morning, I was like, absolutely freaking not.
Yeah.
Like full of hay fever. And I was like, no, I'm going for a walk, just an ordinary walk, good old
Yeah.
fashioned. Just slowing it down and listening to your body, I think is so important, because you've got it coming in from all angles. So give yourself a break.
Yeah.
Manage stress. Number 7.
Kind of,
This all ties in so well. Manage stress without food. Have a think on ways you can manage stress without reaching for the sweets or overeating at your next meal.
yeah. So I guess this ties back to a little bit about what we talked about earlier, in terms of if you are not addressing that kind of stress, or feeling like there's no time for you and things like that, that's when you're going to then look for other forms of comfort, and quite often that is food.
Yeah,
And there's absolutely nothing wrong with also the occasional emotional eating, and things like that. I think it's very normal and we all do it. It's comforting to eat. And it
definitely.
brings you joy and things like that. It's just, if that is becomes your only coping mechanism, then it becomes, I guess, more of an issue. And so it's being able to check in with yourself, check in with your stress, and kind of having your own personal, I guess. I like to kind of talk with my clients around a bit of like a toolkit around like your stress and things like that. So you kind of know what helps you out in those situations. So having a mental kind of few options there for when you are feeling stressed that you can go and do. They don't have to take long or anything like that, but a bit of that kind of prioritizing yourself comes into it, really.
Yeah, definitely. I think, gosh, it's so easy here, like, especially stressed at work, and there are loads of retreats at work. So
Mm,
work is really, really stressful for people at the moment, and there are loads of high calorie, high sugar foods around. Your body is stressed. All it wants is relief. It wants that cheap dopamine hit.
yeah,
So it's like, please just eat the sugar. It's instant. I'll feel so good.
mm,
Whereas that might not align with your long-term goals. And like you say, it's absolutely fine sometimes, but just try to check in with yourself and being like, am I eating because I'm really stressed and I hate my job and can't wait to get out of the office for the end of the year?
yeah,
Am I eating this because I'm lonely and exhausted? Like, just try to, yeah, can I go for a walk or a swim or something instead? And will I enjoy eating this delicious food more later with my family? Yeah,
yeah.
it's not necessarily limiting or restricting food, but it's just, yeah, checking in with your kind of emotional eating
Yeah, and
habits throughout this time, because they can probably get quite out of control.
yeah, definitely. And if we're always in that, I guess, like fight and flight like state and things
Fight or
like that,
flight.
yeah, our bodies are looking for those quick calories, because they don't know that it's actually not, I don't know, something chasing us, or that like they are getting prepared that we're going to have to do something drastic, and they want and need the energy to be able to
Yeah.
respond. So if we're constantly in that state, it's, yeah, causes all sorts of kind of issues and different
Which I
things, like
feel like
different
people are at
cravings.
this time of year. Everyone's like,
Totally, yeah,
ah,
yeah. So yeah, finding
fight or
those
flight
ways,
until like the 23rd of December.
and then no.
Yeah, and then everyone can breathe.
Yeah, but yeah, finding those little pockets that you can breathe in between as well.
Yeah, I think that's hugely important. Um, Number 8, I love. Remember, one less healthy choice isn't going to ruin everything. Enjoy it and move on. It's the choices you make consistently that will count, not the one offs or occasional treats. I think something I shared recently was like, you have 21 meals in a week. Like,
Yeah,
if the 20 are okay, the one really doesn't matter. you know, if 15 are okay, the 6 probably don't matter. But yeah, so I'd
That's
love to hear your
something,
thoughts on that.
yeah, that's a concept that I talk about with clients all the time. That really like putting it into perspective. Like one smoothie's not gonna like change your life and make you super healthy. Just like one slice of cake's not gonna do anything drastic either. It's
Yeah.
not it's not a way of eating something and then that's ruined your whole day. That real like all or nothing kind of approach to food can be tricky around this time of year if you're constantly trying to be really, really good and then, oh, I've actually allowed myself to have something. So I guess, like you said earlier, that bit of like fuck it mentality that can come around where, yeah, it's hard to not view it as, I guess, a whole good week or a whole good day or something like that.
Yeah.
When, yeah, that's not in reality how food works or how our body uses food or anything like
Yeah.
that. So
Yeah.
I often quite like to say, like you said, the 21 meals and things with clients to remind them that each kind of chance of eating is just, it's like completely separate from the others. So you
A
just have
brand new
breakfast.
opportunity, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a new opportunity to make yourself feel good, whether that is like physically like nourishing your body and things, or whether that's like more emotionally feel good. So if it's a soul food
Yeah.
or something like that, but each meal or snack is just another opportunity to kind of make yourself feel good, depending on what you need at that time.
Yeah. I completely agree. And I think, again, yeah, the hack I just shared, that it's like being aware of your environment, but also like what tends to happen for a lot of people is they'll deny themselves, have one small treat because they've just eaten sugar and nothing else nourishing. The one treat turns into 7, and you
Mm,
go, I've really fucked up now.
yeah,
So you have a sugar high, a sugar crash, then you want more. So by the end of the day, it's turned into 15. And then you get home and go, well, now it's a write off. I'm off the
yeah,
wagon. Fuck it. For the
yeah,
next 10 days.
yeah.
And it's like just trying to remember, like Harriet said, guys, just bringing it back after that. Like, one, enjoy something. Bring it
Mm,
back. If you want another one, go for it. But like, your next choice is a brand new choice.
yeah,
And a choice that you've made that doesn't align with your goals doesn't say anything about your identity
yeah.
come your next meal.
That I think that thing of like eating it and then moving on with your day, like it's not
Yeah.
something we need to think about all the time or dwell on or things like that. Like that is a kind of habits and stuff that come from, I guess, quite a disordered place, really, when it comes down to it.
Yeah. Awesome. Okay, number 9, because we're getting near an
Yeah.
hour, and I know you're on your lunch break. Don't be hard on yourself and enjoy it. So along a similar vein, this should be fun, happy, and enjoyable time of year, catching up and celebrating with friends and family. Try not to overthink things and go with the flow a little. And I'm going to include number 10 here too.
Okay.
Try not to use the impending new year as an excuse to ditch all the good.
Yeah, so I think, well, kind of on both of them, it's so about enjoying this part of and time of year. And I guess, like I've said earlier, it is only once a year. It's going to look a little bit different, and that's so fine. But don't also use it as an excuse that actually January 1st is just around the corner and I'm going to be a completely new person, because that's not the reality of it. And I mean, you can make all these New Year's resolutions, but how often do you actually stick to them? And why can't you start incorporating those things now?
You get
Um,
you get one life, right? Like this
yeah,
isn't like a practice run.
yeah.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, not kind of slipping into that thing of, oh, well, I'll just do it in the new year. Like, if it's something you're wanting to do and something you're wanting to prioritize now, then why not just see what you can do in like these last few days of like 2023? It doesn't need to be a 2024 thing. And it doesn't need to play into that, I guess, mentality of just screw it, like whatever, I'll start again. Because that
Yeah.
whole I'll start again is what can also trap you in that real kind of dieting kind of cycles and things where it's on and off, and suddenly you're off the bandwagon and it's so much harder to get back on if you're making it a
When you
really
physically
big
told
deal.
yourself that you're
Yeah,
off.
yeah.
Yeah.
And it turns into this really big deal rather than it's just this time of year and everything just goes back to normal so quickly. So yeah, it's definitely worth enjoying while it is around.
Yes, I completely agree. And I think along both those veins, so don't be hard on yourself and enjoy it, and try not to use the impending New Year as an excuse to ditch all the good. I think we can get so nostalgic and so hung up on Christmases gone by at this time of year. Like it's a very emotional time of year. So in terms of like stress, time with friends and family that you might not always see. If I told myself that every Christmas was going to be like Christmases gone by, oh God, like it doesn't have to be that way. Like every year is a new year. You don't have to do what you've always done. So if you've changed considerably since this time last year, this Christmas doesn't have to look the same as last year. You're not necessarily going to make the mistakes that you didn't like. It's not going to be as stressful. I think a lot of people get so stressed in the anticipation of it.
Yeah, and
And
definitely,
yes,
I guess for some people it's not like a great time of year, and that's so fine as well. Christmas comes with all sorts of family things and that as well. So I think that don't be hard on yourself is really important, no matter what this time of year looks like for you or makes you feel.
yeah, completely agree. And I think it's very interesting. I'm seeing lots of like, get lean with me by December 31st on Instagram. And I'm like, oh dear God. But I mean, I did have a lady sign up for a 3-week program the other day, which takes us to about New Year, which is really cool. So the fact that you can actually still do good things during this time,
Yeah.
I think is really powerful message. So it doesn't have to be trying to get shredded abs by New Year's Eve. Let's not do that, because that probably won't make for a fun Christmas.
Yeah.
But like Harriet says, yeah, you don't have to ditch all the good either.
Yeah,
You can
it
do
can
exactly what you
definitely
want.
be, yeah, it can be that working on those food mindsets and like working on how you can look to do more of the crowding in of eating more vegetables and things like that. Like it can be all around those kind of things. There is a lot of promotion at this time of year around weight loss and quick fixes, and it only gets worse as you go into January kind of thing. But
Oh,
there
yeah.
is, plenty of stuff that you can do that is more sustainable, and can put you in a really good place mentally and physically
Set
with
yourself up for
food.
the new year
Yeah,
rather than,
food
yeah.
and your mindset and body image and everything like that. So yeah, I guess that's what I'm working with a lot of my clients at the moment around, is just creating those habits that it can be enjoyable. You don't need to be hard on yourself. Like, what are some small things that we can be doing to set yourself up to have a great relationship with yourself and food going forward?
I love that. And I think we're going to move on to our takeaway dessert in a second, Harriet, because we are pushing an hour, which I thought might
Yo.
happen. Last year, I did a bit of a poll and asked everyone, how is your body confidence in togs?
Mm,
And it was frickin' atrocious, to be
yeah.
honest. And it wasn't like actually, I'm going to have to announce it if I tell you right now. I am 20 weeks pregnant at the moment.
Oh my
So
gosh,
this is
congratulations. It's so
thanks.
exciting.
This is going to be a fun summer in togs for me. I'm actually quite excited. But so it just alarmed me. Like, I have never had abs, never hoped to. But my body confidence, I think, has grown over the years, definitely from what it used to be. But just, I think there's so much about the way you talk to yourself about food and your movement and the way you treat your body,
Yeah.
taking that time out for yourself, making yourself a little bit of a priority when you get it, carving out those little quiet times for yourself, knowing that you're looking after yourself in the best way you can will make you feel a hell of a lot better about yourself than any kind of ab definition, which I don't
Yeah.
think is particularly healthy
No.
or sustainable.
We don't, as I guess menstruating women and stuff, you don't really want to get to that point. It's probably not a good place to be.
Oh God, no.
Yeah.
I've got friends who, well, yeah, Megan, sorry to throw you under the bus, but she's a bodybuilder. She looks great when she's on stage, but you wouldn't want to be like that year round, and she would be the first one to admit it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really,
Not
really interesting, the
sustainable.
stuff that's thrown to us on social media these days that we see all the time. That
Yeah.
is, not necessarily what you want if you want a balanced life.
Yeah.
So, Harriet, takeaway dessert, go for gold. What's the final message you'd like to leave people with? And I will include all your contact details in the show notes. But where can people find you?
Yeah, great. So I'm on Instagram, Harriet_well. Also got my website, which is just harrietwell.com. Even over on TikTok a little bit, which is a whole different ballgame, but kind of fun.
I saw that. How's that going? Digression.
It's a complete learning curve and stuff, but it's quite fun. It's quite less formal than Instagram, which is quite nice.
I was about to say, I think it's James Smith was he's like, it's like the Wild West. You can say whatever you want, do whatever you want.
Yeah. And but my website and Instagram's mostly where I am. So people can connect.
What's one final takeaway for people? Have you got one?
A final takeaway, so much. I guess coming back to that, don't be hard on yourself at this time of year. Look at what you want to be doing more of rather than cutting things out and things like that. And just enjoy this time because it is busy and fun, and it will be back to regular year next year. So actually enjoy it.
Life, let's not wish it away, hey?
No, definitely not.
Cool. Thank you so much, Harriet. And I'm already excited. I feel like we might have to do a repeat of this in the new year.
Yeah, this is so fun. Lovely to chat with you. And congratulations on your news. It's very exciting.
Thanks. Now I need to go and put that on Instagram.
Yeah, you do.
Oh, good times. Or just test how many people listen to the podcast and see who asks me about it. All right, Harry, let's let these lovely people go. And I'll chat to you soon.
Sounds good.
Thank you for listening to this episode of the Lifestyle Design Secrets podcast. If you've enjoyed what you've heard, please do stop and take 2 seconds to subscribe and leave us a review. It means the world to us. If you are curious about working with us or checking out our new bite-sized guides or our full body reset transformation programs, please do head on over to our website, which is www.amysfitnessandnutrition.co.nz. Have a great day.